Okay, students, so we said that we have the front of the list, and I'm going to mark it, and we have the back of the list. Okay? So what we said first is that we added a node. First we added one node, and then we were adding to the back of the list. That's what our simple list was doing, right? So if we want to add in the front of the list, we have to move differently, okay? However, the very first node is going to be the exact same thing. So let's take a look at this. Oh, and by the way, let's also, let's just keep a count because it's always good. So I'm going to put count here, and count is going to be 0 to begin with. Okay, so I have my count, and I'm going to copy exactly the same part in here where it says if count equals 0, I'm going to create a new node. So here is my new node, and the new node is here, and of course it has a reference to null, right? And then it says that both front and back are going to be pointing at the new node. Now I'm going to use different colors here now, and I'm going to say that front is here, right? And then let's make back orange. So here is back. So both front and back, and let's make this lowercase. So both front and back are in there. So that's our first node regardless. In the past, we were adding the nodes to the back side, but now I'm going to add it to the front. So as I add this, I am going to increment my count to 1. Now, before we code, we want to see what are the movements that we're doing, but we want to see it graphically. And I always tell my students to please draw. And many times students don't draw. They're lazy. Hopefully you're not, right? But it saves so much time. Look at this. I'm going to create a node here, and I'm going to call it new node. So I'm going to create a new node, and I know that I'm going to add it to the front, so I am going to actually add it right here. And I am going to create my new node, and I'm going to call it, it's going to be a reference called new node, which is going to be right there. So when I do that, this new node is no longer here, right? Now, remember, the last time we were adding to the back, now I'm going to be adding to the front. Right now, this is my list, which contains one element, and I have a new node that I plan to attach here. So when I create my new node, actually, I could use my super awesome constructor, my second constructor, if you look at your node class, the one that starts on line 16. And that one actually takes takes a reference if I wanted to do that, okay? But before we get into coding, what I am going to do here is the following. I have my new node, and if I wanna, my new node is like this, pointing to null. Now, what I want to do is link it in here, right? So in order for me to link it here, this is what I am going to do. I am going to say, I'm going to move the arrow to point here. And what is here? Front and back, both of them. But remember that because I'm going to be adding to the front is going to be moving, and it's always going to be pointing to the front. Whereas as I add elements in here, back is going to remain in the same spot. So if I want to do something that loops, I am going to use front as a reference in this case, because it's the one that is going to be moving to the front, and it's the one that I am going to be attaching to all the time. Look at this. What I'm going to say is move this to the front. In order to do that, I am going to say the following code. I'm going to say new node dot set next, because remember, set next moves the arrow to front. Okay, and so you remember that is front. I am going to highlight it with pink because front is pink. Okay, this is gonna move the next from here and put it right to front. You see, I glue them together. But now I need to move the reference of front right here. Otherwise, front is there, but this is not really the front because the front is in this side. Remember, we marked front in this side. So I need to make sure that whatever is at the frontest, if you will, it's referenced by front. So the new thing that I need to do is move the reference to front to new node. So in order to do that, I am going to say that front now is going to be equal to new node. And when I do this, what happens in here is that front is going to move from there and it's going to reference the new node. So front will be here, right? And then I'm going to increment the count, and that will bring this to 2. And I have 2 nodes. You see, now I'm adding at the front. But this, you know, so this is 1 node. So let's see if we can actually duplicate by doing this. But remember, first of all, before that, actually I forgot to write that, but I created a new node, right? I said node, new node equals new node, and then the parameters. Sorry, my whiteboard is smaller, okay? So now let's say I want to create yet another node, and I am going to keep it here, you know, to the front. So what I am going to do is that I can repeat this part. As long as my count is greater than 0, I can create a new node. Let's test it. In order for us to see if it's gonna work, all I need to do is follow my code and see if it's gonna work. I'm gonna follow it by drawing it, okay? So node, new node equals new node. We know parameters that I'm missing. So here is my new node. I'm gonna call it new node. So reference new node is gonna be here. No longer there, but it doesn't matter because front is keeping a reference to it. So this is new node now, is right here, and it's like that, you know, pointing to the ground, right? But now I say new node, which is this one, new node dot set next to front. Front is right here. Ooh, so I am going to move my arrow. Remember, set next, move my arrow to front. Okay, so here it is. And then I say front equals new node. Okay, so whatever new node is referencing, it's gonna be referenced by front. So basically, front now is referencing that one as well. And I increment my count, 3, and I'm still good, right? So just for kicks, let's do it again. Node, new node equals new node, so I'm gonna write it right here. And this is gonna be new node is no longer here because I just reassigned it, right? And I am saying, actually, when I do it again, like this, new node dot set next to front. So this is new node set next to front. Remember, I'm gonna move the arrow to the front. So there you go, set next to front. And then front is gonna be referencing what new node is referencing, and new node is referencing this. So front now is gonna be right here. Okay, and it's right here, and I increment my count to 4. And now I have 4 elements, and I can keep going and going and going. Now, however, right, the back is gonna be the element that I added first, then the second, the third, and the last element is gonna be at the front. So whenever I print the list, it's gonna actually print backwards from the way in which I added the nodes. And it will be a different kind of list, and we're gonna talk about stacks and queues later on in the class. But for now, you know that you don't have to add the nodes just on one side. You may add them in the other side as well, okay?